So when it comes to keeping it, storing it, where you're trading it, I think a lot of the world was paying attention with FTX.
Mhm.
There was a lot of implosions at that time. Celsius went down. And the thing with, I guess, the comparing of or bringing them up in the same sentence, I think they're two very different men. I had Alex Mashinsky on the podcast
Mm.
months before everything happened. My husband's met him in person a few times at some events, and I can't, and maybe this is my own error, but I can't see him as, like, a bad guy. Like, I don't he just seems, like, so anti-authority, anti-big whatever, right? Big
Mhm.
banks, essentially, and what I see with Mashinsky is that he was going toe to toe with banksters, and they kinda took him down in some way, or maybe he just was over leveraged. I don't know. It doesn't feel the same way as FTX. Now,
Mhm.
taking both of their characters outside of it, like, how do you know where you're putting your money is a legitimate place, or are you just a fan of holding on to it, like, own your keys, own your wallet kind of a thing? Because that also seems like it's obviously not risk-free either, right? You
Mhm.
forget your password, it's gone forever. So, like, what is
Mhm.
the answer to that?
Um, I'm a big proponent of self-sovereignty. I'm
Mhm.
gonna be more on the self-sovereignty camp, but I know that's not for everyone. Like,
Right.
the idea of buying $80,000 worth of ones and zeros, and then you have 12 words that can unlock that $80,000 of ones and zeros that you can't physically touch, and if you lose or forget those 12 words, all that $80,000 is gone forever. That's terrifying to some people, and I understand. My heart goes out to people who are terrified of that. At the same token, you can have a bunch of fat cats in Wall Street, i.e., Washington, because it's one and the same, who are just playing around and playing games with your money, with your retirement, with your little nest egg or whatever for your kids. And they'll go in and leverage that and it will just go away. And it's like, oopsie poopsie.
Mhm.
Notice who got bailed out. It was the banks. No one's
Mhm.
retirement fund got backfilled, right? No
Mm.
one got their house that was foreclosed on returned back from them back in 2008. None of that happened. Okay.
Mhm.
The fat cats looked out for themselves. So there is risk no matter what. What is your
Mhm.
risk tolerance? I think it's too risky to not have some exposure to Bitcoin. You can have it on a centralized exchange like Celsius or FTX, or you can own it yourself, which has risk. There's ways to get around that. But going back to your point about Mashinsky and FTX and Celsius, I know a lot about what happened with Alex. I know a lot. And I know a lot about what happened with FTX. In both of those instances, neither one of those guys are evil. There are people in the space that are evil, but neither one of those guys I would say are evil, but both of them were enticed by power, and power corrupts. And Mashinsky doesn't like the establishment. He still doesn't, but he liked his establishment. He wasn't
Mm.
giving up control of his crypto. He wasn't letting people have oversight of how he was investing. And so then he got over leveraged and he was just listening to the wrong people and he wasn't listening to criticism. And Sam Bankman Fried, I think fundamentally is mentally ill and is a savant and is really good at some stuff, but he's not a crypto guy. And so he's a finance bro. Like, let's just be perfectly clear. And a terrible League of Legends player. He only got to like bronze status. I don't know what that means. I don't have time for games anymore. But he just got a lot of money and got a lot of drugs and started getting a lot of sex. And at that point, like the script, we've read that script 1,000 times.
Mhm.
I'm not some type of superhero. Would the same thing happen to me? Probably. If I had all that money, the guy had billions of dollars just on tap, and he could do whatever he wanted. I mean, I'm no better than him, but at least I didn't do it. So we're all susceptible to it. He just thought he could. He just thought he couldn't be touched, right? And like that's when you've screwed up, is when you think you can't be touched. So,
Mhm.
what about you? Like, what's your risk tolerance? Like, where are you at on the spectrum of self sovereignty and custodianship?
I like both. I like mixing it up.
Hmm.
So we have some that is on more of a centralized network, and then we also do have some that's cold storage. And I think
Hmm.
for that, I think it's important to have some, even if you are like terrified of holding your own keys, I think it's important to at least have some that if like shit goes down, You go into the safe, you grab your whatever storage unit you're using, and you hit the road, whatever it is, right? And you see
Yep.
this in some war-torn countries where you definitely don't wanna be holding on to gold bars or cash
Mm-mm.
because that's gonna get
Mhm.
taken from you from somebody. If you have something that's a little bit more discreet, I think that's easier to travel with, and you're not gonna be like, you're not gonna potentially have time to do a transfer, so you wanna have something that's cold storage just for, like, a in case of emergency, pull this lever. And then also it's just, again, like, risk tolerance, so if I suck at one of them, hopefully the other one is easier to access. So I think
Yep.
diversifying is usually the answer, right? Don't go all in on
Mhm.
one bet.
You seem to have thought this through a lot. Are you like a Sarah Connor? Do you think about these end of times things a lot?
End of times? For sure, yeah. I mean, so I was raised by a cop dad, and I've got 2 small kids. I really enjoy, and I don't know why, maybe, like, I'm a little bit of a masochist, but I love getting into culture and politics and
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
going on a ground level. So it's like you can't see all of this and then be raised the way that I was and not have, like, a little bit of caution or, like, have a little bit of need
Mhm.
for being prepared, not paranoid, but just prepared. So, like, we've got a go bag, I've got food, I've got water, like,
Do
we've
you
got a
really?
plan.
You've
Yeah,
got a go bag?
I
Oh
got
my
a go
god.
bag, and it
That's
is
awesome.
stocked.
Candace, that's a business opportunity. Go bags by Candace. Like you're printing money.
Just curated with
Yeah.
everything. I've got, like, my Afghani bandages, and I've got Quick Clot, and I've got my Life straws, I've got the
Wow.
Life tent, flares, you name it. It's ready to go. We've got
Amazing.
our
I
map.
I I will buy one. You send me the Amazon cart, I will buy it from you. You can get 10% on top. I need it.
Oh my god, it'd probably be embarrassing with how much it costs to, like, fully do a bag, but it's a lot, you know what I mean?
It's
But
worth it.
you never know, and I would rather be
Mhm.
prepared, and it's there. It doesn't cost me any I can now sleep better because it's already done. All I have to do is right above the vehicle, grab it, throw it in the back, grab the
Mhm.
kids, you're good to go, right?
Wow.
You just don't
Yeah.
wanna be in a situation and I also grew up in Southern California in, like, the '80s and the '90s, and we
Oh,
had
yeah.
been rocked by some, like, really
Mhm.
serious earthquakes, like, I mean, ground opening earthquakes, and
Mm.
my dad was a first responder, so I saw firsthand, like, you need to be prepared. We had an earthquake kit, right? So, from the
Yeah.
time I was born, I was used to having something that, like, you literally grab and you need in the case of emergency. So, to me,
Okay.
it's super normal, but if you didn't grow up someplace that has natural disasters, maybe that sounds really
Mhm.
crazy to you.
Yeah, I grew up in North Carolina, so we had a hurricane kit
Mm.
back in Hurricane Fran in, like, I think it was '98 or something like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
We were on the bottom floor of our house. I'm the oldest of 6. We were all on the bottom floor of our house, and, we woke up. It was like 2 in the morning. We woke up in about 6 inches of water, and my youngest sister was face down in it. And so we, like, scrambled and got her up. She was fine, but, like, the house was flooding. So me and my mom went outside, and as the eye of Hurricane Fran came over our area of Raleigh, North Carolina, we went outside and with shovels and picks and we dug a trench because we were kind of at the bottom of the hill. We dug a trench to divert the water away from the house so it wouldn't keep on flooding. I'll never forget that. But yeah, I know what you mean when it comes to, like, when you got to get out, you don't have much time to react.